皆さんこんにちは、はなです。今日、私は特別な動画を作っています。今日、メダリストエピソード5からヒカルちゃんの競争パフォーマンスを分析します。本当に楽しみです。グッドボタンとチャンネル登録よろしくお願いします。What's up everyone and welcome back to the channel and to another video and welcome my special guest today, Nezuko, who's not happy with me and is about to bat me in the face, but she was getting in my way of recording, so I decided to showcase her. Hello. Okay, goodbye. For those of you who may not know me, hi, my name is Hannah, and I'm a former competitive figure skater of over 20 years and a former figure skating coach of over 10 years. I began figure skating at the age of 6 and began coaching at the age of 13, doing both until my early 20s. So I like to think that I know a thing or two about figure skating. And because of that, I have been watching the series Medalist here on YouTube. The series is already halfway through, which is absolutely insane, and over these last few weeks, I have taken some time to read everyone's comments, take some feedback regarding my videos, and I have decided that I'm going to start making some extra videos where I'm going to be breaking down some of the scenes even more analytically than I am during the original series watch through. There have been quite a few times where a few comments have come through where they're like, oh, I wish you would pause the video more and explain it even in more detail. I want to know everything about figure skating that there possibly is to learn, which I probably will start doing more. However, there have been some scenes that I kind of have almost glossed over while I watched it in my videos that I'm going to go back now and break down even more for you. So if there is a scene or a performance or anything that you have seen in these first 6 episodes, as of right now I'm recording this, it has been 6 episodes, that you want me to go into greater detail than I did in my original video, leave that scene in the comments and I will add that to the list of things to talk about. Now today we're going to be talking about Hikaru's performance from episode 5 in greater detail. And before we do that, I do just want to go over a couple of terms that you're going to hear me using quite a lot and just go over some basics because we're going to be looking at this from the eyes of a competitive figure skating program, which is very complicated. So a couple terms you might want to know beforehand is IJS, aka International Judging System. The IJS is a universal scoring system that is used across all countries, so this is not specific to the United States. I know that every country in the world uses this because this is the scoring system that is used for international competitions where skaters from all over the world are competing against each other. Meaning if I say the base value of a jump is this, I know for a fact that's not just the United States, that is also the same in Japan. And I will be referring to it as IJS since it is quite a mouthful to continue to call it the International Judging System. Next you might want to know is the base value. So whenever I talk about the base value, that is the base foundation amount of points that a skater can get for an executed element. So if they do a triple Lutz, based off of its difficulty, it has a base value in IJS, and that is the score that you get for the element. Next is going to be GOE. GOE is the grade of execution. So the GOE is actually a score that can either give or take away points from that base value. Think of the base value as the foundation of the score you can get for a completed element, but the grade of execution, aka GOE, is going to add or take away points based off of how well you execute the jump. So if a skater were to complete an element, they did it, but they were very scratchy, they put their hand on the ice, and it just looked like it was labored, they are more than likely going to get negative GOE, which means that their base value is going to have points taken away from it. So the total amount of points they get for that element is going to go down because they did not execute it well. But if the skater does exceptionally well with it, they have good speed, they have good flow, they add some extra difficulty like putting their arms over their head like we're going to see in a moment here, they will actually get points added to their base value and actually get more points than what the base value of the jump is for completing it well. Another term I'm going to use a lot in this is going to be free leg. Now, because skaters will jump and spin in different directions depending on what hand they're dominant with, we call the leg that is in the air when they are on one foot the free leg. So I'm not going to just say her left leg or her right leg because that can be different for every skater and it might get confusing. So to make it not confusing by using left or right, I'm going to just call it the free leg. The free leg will be the leg that is up in the air whenever the skater is on one foot. Any other terms that I can think of, I can't think of off the top of my head right now, so I will talk about them throughout this video as I get through the performance. Okay, but with that, we're going to dive into Hikaru's performance comments, but before we do, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment your thoughts on this video. You can let me know if you like this series, if you want me to do more of it, and also let me know what scenes from the anime that I have already watched that you want me to break down even further. Also, if you can, follow me on social media. If you're interested in my cosplay stuff, you can follow me on Instagram at HannahMalay. If you're interested in more of my short form content or silly thoughts throughout the day, you can follow me on TikTok and X at lookingnerdy. But with that, let's get into it. Okay. Dance Macabre is a very commonly used piece of music for skating, so I loved that they used this. Right now, she's just doing some opening choreography, some crossovers, a couple of choreographic arm movements, and now she's getting into some steps. She's about to go into her triple Lutz, triple loop combo with the arms over her head and a kick on the landing. So a triple Lutz triple loop combo is considered to be the most difficult triple combo that does not include a triple axel. And interestingly enough, most figure skaters on the senior circuit as of right now do not do a combo with a loop at the end because of its difficulty. And there is a reason for this. So adding a loop at the end of a combo is worth more points because it is exceptionally more difficult to do. In the case of adding a toe loop at the end of a combo, which is the much more common thing to do that you will see skaters like Kaori Sakamoto, Monet Chiba, Amber Glenn, all the top names of the international scene right now in figure skating, they all do a triple toe loop at the end. And that is because when you have a combination jump, let's say the first jump in that combo, you're just a little bit off on it. Like, you landed it and it's not the greatest landing you've ever had. You're a little bit wobbly, your balance is a little bit off. If you do a triple toe loop at the end of it, granted, if you were off on the first jump, it might not go perfectly for you, but you have an opportunity to kind of recenter yourself because you have a moment to rebend, you have a moment to put your free leg in the ice as balance and relaunch yourself back up in the air. So there's a lot more room for error on that first jump, and you can still get that triple toe loop done depending on how good of a competitor you are and the level of how off you were when you landed that first jump. Adding a loop to the end, you don't get to use your free leg at all. Your free leg should not touch the ice. You have to be foot perfect when you land that first jump in order to make a loop combo work, because there is no time to readjust, there is no time to rebend, there is no time to use your free leg to launch yourself. You literally land and you immediately jump back up. So because of this, the margin of error on this kind of combo is way higher, and that means that because the difficulty is higher, the base value of the jump is higher. However, most skaters still don't do it because they're more likely to make a mistake on it, and if you make a mistake on it, you're going to get way less points than if you did a well-executed triple toe loop combo. So for reference, whenever you're doing a combo in single skating, it just takes the base value of both jumps and adds it together. And in this case, a triple Lutz is worth 5.9 points, and a triple loop is worth 4.9 points. You add that together, that is 10.8 points as a base value. And just for contrast, the triple toe loop is worth 4.2 points, while the triple loop is worth 4.9 points. So your base value goes down to 10.1. So it's over half a point higher to do a triple loop off of the end of it. Now, also in the case of Hikaru, she added her arms over her head on the triple loop, and when she landed, she showed off how much control and flow she had by kicking her leg up and adding some flair. When it comes to GOE, the grade of execution, which is up to the judges and how they view the jump, how well done it was, there are actually a bunch of bullet points that the skater is supposed to hit for them to give a certain amount of extra points, and they can rate it on a 1 to 5 scale. So if they want to add points, they can go, oh, this was just a little bit better than normal, so I'm gonna give it a 1. 2, this was absolutely perfect, there was nothing they could have done better, I'm gonna give them a 5. If they just did it as it's supposed to be, they would give a 0, which means they're not going to add anything to the base value, but they're not going to take away because it wasn't performed poorly. And then if it was performed poorly just a little bit, they can give a -1. And then if they fell or it was just really bad, they put their hand down, it was just awful, they would give a -5. Now what each judge gives them is thrown into a calculator, and then they get a score based off of those 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, which then gives you the points that are either given or taken away from the base value. In Hikaru's case, because she put her arms over her head and she showed off a great landing, she had some difficult steps leading into it. She did a couple mohawks and 3 turns, which are all very basic elements that you learn very young, but it makes the entrance of a jump more difficult because it kind of comes out of nowhere. I would assume most of these judges probably gave her around a +2 or a +3, and I'm just spewing things out right now. I'm going to say she got an extra point added to her grade of execution on this jump, meaning that triple Lutz triple loop combo got her 11.8 points, which is a big point getter, especially because skaters at the senior level competing at the Olympics won't even have an element worth that many points sometimes. That's how good she is. All right, let's keep going. All of these extra steps that she's doing, these are all real, like crossovers, rockers, counters. This is like real choreography that you see at competitions. Okay, so that was a triple flip. A triple flip is worth 5.3 points, and then again, she didn't put her arms over her head or have an exceptionally good landing. However, it was still well done with a lot of difficult steps leading up to it. So I would say the judges probably gave her around a +1 or a +2. I'm going to give her an extra half point on this. So she got about 5.8 points for that solo triple flip. Triple Salchow. Again, very well done. No issues, no extra flair like she did with the triple Lutz triple loop combo, but a triple Salchow is worth 4.3 points. It's actually considered the second easiest triple jump at only 0.1 higher than a triple toe loop. Again, I would say she probably got about half a point of grade of execution. I'm just spewing things out. I could be wrong on the grade of execution. That's all very subjective and based off of the judges that are watching her. So she probably earned about 4.8 points for that triple toe loop. And we have a flying sit spin into where I'm from that's called a cannonball to a broken leg with a lean to the side. It looks like she got, I didn't count long enough, but I think she got 8 revolutions total on that. So spins are a little bit more complicated because just doing a spin does not mean you get the same base value as someone else that does a very similar spin to you. Spins start at a level 1 and go through a level 4. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to pack as many different positions and features into that spin to get a level 4. Now, in her case, she did a flying sit spin. Now, there is just a base value for a flying sit spin, so the fly isn't necessarily a feature, but she does get a higher base value automatically because she's doing a flying sit spin instead of a regular sit spin. So a sit spin, the base value of a base is a 1.1, and the base value of a sit spin with flying entry, a base, is a 1.7, so 0.6 higher. On top of that, she added the cannonball position, which was when she grabbed her leg and put her nose to her knee. So that is a feature to get you a level 1. Then she changed to a broken leg where her body was twisted. This was another feature that got her to a level 2, and then I believe she held that for 8 rotations. If you hold a position for 8 rotations or more, that is also a feature. So I would assume she got a level 3 for this spin, not a level 4, a level 3, and that is worth 2.6 points. So a bit lower, quite a bit lower than what the jumps are worth. However, again, she probably got grade of execution added to it. She was very centered. She kept the speed up the entire time, probably around a half of a point again added to it, meaning she got about 3.1 points for that spin. And she's very engaging with the judges. She's making eye contact with them, and she's got a good face to show some performance. Oh, that was a level 4 layback spin. So for her layback spin, she did a sideways lean immediately, which is a feature. And then she went just kind of leaning back with her foot down. That position itself is not a feature. However, she did increase speed. If you show an obvious increase in speed while you are spinning, you will get another feature, so that would be another level, meaning she's now at a level 2. Then she did a hair cutter, which is where she just brings her foot... I'm getting very into this. She brings her foot up to her head, but she doesn't bring it over her head. This is called a hair cutter because it looks like you're cutting your hair. This is another feature, so she's up to a level 3. And then she brought it up to a Bielman, which is all the way up here, which is a level 4. So she maxed out on points on that layback spin. Now, granted, a base layback spin is only worth 1.2 points. But she got a level 4, which is worth 2.7 points. And again, I'm going to say she added about half a point of GOE to that. Actually, I'm going to give this one a full point. So I'm going to assume she earned about 3.7 points for that layback spin. A good part, like she's about halfway through her program, so it's good to take a moment to have some like standing still. We got a double axel, triple toe loop, double loop combo. So a couple things about this element. First is that it is after the halfway mark of her program, meaning it is worth 10% more than it originally is. So a double axel is worth 3.3 points, a triple toe loop is worth 4.2 points, and a double loop is worth 1.7 points. So without the 10% bonus, that is worth 9.3 points, but we add the 10%, which is an additional 0.93, meaning she got 10.23 points for that element, just the base value. On top of that, she put her arms over her head once again and had great flow. So I'm going to once again assume she got about a 1 point of added grade of execution, bringing her total score on that one element to 11.23 points. We're racking up the points here. This is going to be her footwork sequence, it looks like. Now, the rules of what elements you can and can't do are going to be different based off of each country. So it looked like this is more of a choreographic step sequence and not a leveled step sequence. We got another triple Lutz. Okay, so I'm going to assume that was a choreographic step sequence and not a leveled step sequence, which I think matches. We do have the level novice in the United States, and I believe you can only do a choreographic step sequence and it's not leveled. And this has just a base value of 3.0. There's really no way you can change that. There's no levels, like I said, so she got 3.0 for that. Again, she completed it very well. She got good ice coverage. She had good speed. She didn't look like she slowed down on any of the elements. I would give her about a half a point of grade of execution, meaning she got 3.5 points for that. Then she did a triple Lutz. Again, very well done. Triple Lutz, again, is worth 5.9 points. I'm going to give her a half a point on that, and that will bring her to 6.4 points for that. And we are getting into our final element of the program here. Back camel, side layover. Don't know what she's doing next. Okay. Okay, so there you have it. Usually a program is going to require a combination spin, which more than likely that final spin was a combination spin. However, we didn't get to see it because it showed shots of the audience instead, of course, because this is an anime. This is not a real life figure skating competition, meaning it's going to show other things to keep up the interest of the story. All I saw was a back camel with a sideways leaning layover and then what looked like just a back upright spin, which isn't really worth any points. If it were just a camel spin, the base of a camel spin is 1.1 points, but I only saw one feature, which was that sideways lean, meaning it would be a level 1 at 1.4 points, plus, again, some added grade of execution. I would give that, because it's so low, probably about 0.25, a quarter of a point grade of execution for that, bringing it to 1.65 points. However, That one is a little bit hard to tell because it is likely that she was actually doing a combination spin, which, just for reference, a combo spin with no change of foot is worth 1.5 points instead of 1.1 points for a base, but a combo spin with a change of foot is worth 1.7 points. But I can't really score it again because I didn't see the full spin. So in all honesty, Hikaru is doing a program that if she adds, I believe it's just one more jumping pass, she would be competitive at the senior level. And I mean it when I say not even Kaori Sakamoto, the reigning and 3-time consecutive world champion, the favorite to win the Olympics next year, is doing that difficult of a program. The only skater that is competitive and in the mix for being that world champion or Olympic champion is Amber Glenn, and the reason that she's in the mix is because she also has the triple axel, which is the most difficult triple jump. The triple axel is still not attempted by most of the women's field. I would say you maybe see out of 20 skaters, 2 to 3 attempt it because it is much more difficult than the rest of the triple jumps. So any skater that can do it and do it well can be in the mix to be winning medals. Now in America, the triple axel is not allowed in a novice program. I would assume that's probably the case here, but I would not be surprised if Hikaru is at least working on a triple axel, if not landing it already, with how well done everything else is. Now, before I end this video today, I want to talk about the second mark. So there are 2 factors into a competition program total score. That is going to be your technical element score, which was what I was just talking about. That's going to be all of the elements that she completes. So the jumps, the spins, the step sequences. That score is, while it has that room for change based off of your grade of execution, there's a lot less room for change with that because you're doing elements that have a base value, that everyone who attempts that jump starts at the same base value. But the second half of your score is called the program component score. Now there are 3 elements of the component score: skating skills, performance, and composition. So skating skills is how in control they are of their blade. It's very hard to explain skating skills. The best way I can suggest figuring out how good a skater's skating skills is when you're watching real life skating, look at their blade and see how much they lean side to side while they skate. If their boot looks like they are touching the ice while they skate forward on one foot, that means that they are probably very good at skating and their skating skills should be very high. Performance is a little bit easier to be able to discern from just watching someone. You're looking for a skater that is an actor. Their face should be matching the music. So if it's happy music, they should be smiling and making fun faces. They can have fun. If it's sassy music, they should be raising eyebrows and being sassy and making eye contact with the judges. If the music is more intense, kind of like what Hikaru is doing, is just looking, making that eye contact, doing dramatic reaches. And if your music is sad, almost making it look like you're crying the entire time. You have to kind of be an actor while you're out there. And also the execution of your program. So if you fall a lot, that will also affect this mark. And then finally, composition is kind of like the choreography and the way the entire program just works together to make one cohesive piece of art. So if it looks like you're just kind of skating from jump to jump and it looks very disjointed, you'll get a lower score for that. But for Hikaru, everything flowed really well. It never looked like she had a second half of the program really. So she would get high marks on all of that. Now the calculations for program component scores is very similar to GOE. The judges are going to give you a score between 0 and 10. And then once the judges give those scores, it is thrown into a calculator and it gives you a total amount of points for your component score. Now this one's a little bit harder to be able to tell because it's different for every level. If you are in the senior level, I believe women max out at 80 total points for program component scores. But for novice level competitors here in the States, it's like, I think it maxes out at like 40 points. So it's just factored differently. So I would assume her program component scores are around that as well, which gives her that. I believe her score, I'm not looking at it right now, is around 97. So it makes sense because her technical score would be in the 50s and her component score would be close to 40. Honestly, I think she's kind of sandbagging. I think that she's ready for juniors and seniors. I think that she is definitely way too competitive for this level and should absolutely, with that, not only does she have a triple S triple loop, she does it extremely well. and she does a very difficult variation of it with putting her arms over her head. I think she's sandbagging. I think she should be competing at a higher level and challenging herself, but that's just my own perception of it. You want to compete at the levels that you're obviously going to be competitive at, but I argue that she is already competitive at the senior level. But I think that's pretty much it for today's video. Again, if you liked this type of video and you have some ideas of more scenes that I've already watched that you want me to break down even more, please let me know in the comments below. I will definitely make this a series if you guys like it. But with that, thank you so much for watching today. Don't forget to also subscribe to the channel and hit that thumbs up button if you liked the video. And finally, follow me on social media. If you're interested in more cosplay, you can follow me on Instagram at HannahMalay. Or if you're interested in my short form content about Demon Slayer or just my random thoughts throughout the day on Twitter or X, you can follow me on X or TikTok at lookingnerdy. But with that, thank you so much for watching today's video, and as always, mata ne!